subscribe, like, do what you want, really. And we are back with quarterfinal number 4 of 4 in the championship tournament to determine and crown the greatest action figure belt ever made. On the left-hand side of your screen, seeded number 2 in this competition, it's a WWE, although really WWF, Winged Eagle Championship by Jakks, Deluxe version no less. And on the right-hand side of your screen, it's the OG NXT Women's Championship by Mattel. Now let's look at how these two belts were seeded. We looked at likeness to the real belt, build of the toy, and the feels that it gives me. So the Winged Eagle number 2 seed on the left hand side of your screen, it only scored 6 out of 10 for likeness to the real belt. And that's because little details like this, look at the sidebars. They're not actually free floating, they're not pointing off there, they're actually part of one molded piece. Yeah, it might be difficult to do, but I'm being scientific, folks. That's not what it's like on the real belt. Also, as with all these belts, no championship plate on this side, no gold tip, because of course Jakks went for this belt-like buckle clip system rather than the Mattel kind of little push in prongs that they go for. So yeah, only 6 out of 10, which really meant that this belt suffered, but still managed to be seeded second by virtue of 9 for build and 9 for fields. Lots of good memories in that Winged Eagle. On the right hand side of your screen, NXT Women's Championship scored 8 out of 10 for likeness to the real belt. That's because there's no black or pink on the center plate. The actual belt itself has a bit more detail here, just running through almost behind the center of that big X. But otherwise, really, really well built, 8 out of 10, and 5 out of 10 for the feels. It almost wasn't really around long enough to maybe completely get into our hearts, but some great women's matches fought over that version of the championship, no doubt. So let's get into it then with first champion to hold the belt, last champion to hold it, and notable champions in between, starting with the Winged Eagle on your left. First champion to hold this belt, of course, was Hulk Hogan in February 1988, simply replacing what existed then as the WWF Championship. He was the reigning champion. The last champion to hold this belt, equally as historic, maybe even a greater star in his own way, that was Steve Austin. Of course, he beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, and then the night after, in March 1998, they swapped this version of the championship for the Big Eagle Attitude Era version of the belt. As we say, 2 stories in terms of why that happened. The first one, which I think is more likely, is the legal ramifications of Reggie Parks owned the designs to this belt, the IC belt, and the tag belts. And every time the WWE used it in toys, video games, on screen, he had to be paid royalties and residuals. And Vince McMahon didn't want to do that anymore. Reggie Parks wouldn't sell the rights to the belts, so Vince McMahon created new belts that were kind of like the other ones, but not. Certainly taking notes from Reggie Parks' designs. The other version of the story is that the wings here, which just lift off the side of the leather, were digging in wrestlers, and they didn't like it. I'm not sure if that's the case. I think that might have been a bit of press and spin to move away from a legal battle and discussing that in terms of Reggie Parks. Notable champions in and amongst, again, another who's who of professional wrestling when you think of the likes of Randy Savage, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, and we've already mentioned Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin. You might think, oh, my favourite's not there, what about The Undertaker and so on? I respect The Undertaker greatly for his character and so on, but I am really a technical wrestling kind of guy. So my championship picks tend to veer more towards technical mat wrestlers than maybe some of our more spectacular superstars, if you will. What about the NXT Women's Championship then? Well, the first champion was Paige, UK's own, in June 2013. And the last champion to hold this version of the belt was Asuka in April 2017, when the newer versions of the belts were then brought out. Notable champions in and amongst, well, you've got Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Bayley, all of whom held this version of the belt on the right-hand side of your screen. But which one of these two is going through to the semi-final to join the other three and form our final four in the championship tournament to determine the greatest action figure belt ever made? Well, as much as I love the NXT Women's Championship, I love some of those matches, I love the design, I like this kind of crazy oval squashed egg thing, I like these arrow style shooting out side plates. There is no denying the grandeur and the majesty that is this is a toy, never mind what it means in the wrestling world. So much love to the NXT OG Women's Championship, but today's quarterfinal belongs to this Jakks Deluxe Winged Eagle Championship. Look at that as a toy. We've even got a painted globe. We've got the black. We've got the banner. Oh my goodness. It joins our final four, who will become a final two and a final one. But which belt is going to survive the semi-finals? Which one's going to win the finals? Stay tuned and we'll find out. Until next time, take care. Ta-ra now.